Hey guys, and welcome on into the next NHL season preview show. And today we're going to be talking about the New York Rangers, who are coming into this season off a disappointing 7 game loss in the first round against the New Jersey Devils. And of course, we'll be looking to get back to the playoffs this year and make it past whoever they face. But this is a tough division that the Rangers are in. They are in a tough division with some really good teams. So we'll jump right into it here, and we'll start, of course, with additions and subtractions. Right off the bat, for me, when you look at it, Patrick Kane, who is more of a rental, Vladimir Tarasenko, also both are out. Yaroslav Halak, also gone, which is kind of an addition by subtraction, in my opinion. But when you look at who the Rangers went to replace him and Jonathan Quick, um, I don't know. I just feel like the Rangers maybe should have gone with somebody a bit more younger, someone with some more potential. Quick, obviously, a veteran that's been there and done that, but at the tail end of his career, kind of like Halak, they're both at the end of their career. I would have liked to see the Rangers go out and get somebody else, like the Devils, who have like four young goaltenders. I would like to see the Rangers go and grab someone else, but Blake Wheeler signed real cheap to play with the Rangers this year. We'll have to see how he fits in. He's the big addition for the Rangers here in the offseason. And we'll have to see how he fits with the rest of the lineup, how chemistry works. Overall, I think it's kind of about an even off season. I think maybe the offense is a little bit less now. We'll have to see what the other guys do here, but not a horrible off season, but not the best off season either, in my opinion. What do you think, Ian? Additions and subtractions here for the Rangers.
Yeah, pretty ho-hum. I mean, this is a team that's been playoff bound the last 2 seasons, although disappointing last year to be knocked out in the first round by a very young, much more playoff inexperienced compared to them in the New Jersey Devils. But when you look at last year's team, they tried to load it up offensively with these veterans, and it didn't really work. So you can't really be that shocked that they didn't bring back Tarasenko. They didn't bring back Patrick Kane from last year's team. Yaroslav Halak, actually had a pretty solid season. And you mentioned the point about now Jonathan Quick is going to be the backup goaltender to Igor Shesterkin here with the Rangers. Is that an upgrade? I'm not so sure. Jonathan Quick had that great year 2 years ago, which was by far his best season since his heyday, in those early 2010s when they were winning Stanley Cups. And Jonathan Quick had, barely above 2 goals against average. 2 years ago, that 2021 season, 2021-22, 2.59 goals against, 910 save percentage. That was his best numbers in years. The question was going to be last year, could he duplicate that? And the answer was no. 3.41 goals against, 882 save percentage. And I think it's pretty telling. The Vegas Golden Knights, who had all kinds of injuries with goaltending, you think of, and absences, you think about Leonard's situation. He wasn't available at all last year. Then when they got into the playoffs, Logan Thompson, I should say, during the season then got hurt. Then Laurent Brossoit becomes the goaltender. They get Jonathan Quick in that shocking deal. Or not shocking deal, it was Columbus, the deal with LA, and then Vegas got him after that. But they picked up Jonathan Quick, Vegas did. And then Laurent Brossoit, though, he's the one starting the playoffs, not Quick. And then Laurent Brossoit gets injured, and they still don't have confidence to go to Quick. And they give Adin Hill the next shot, in between the pipes. So, how much does he have left? It's a legitimate question. How much can he play at a high level? And look, he's got to be able to play for 25 games or so, 25 games. You cannot run Igor Shesterkin out there for 70, 80 games. You just got to somehow keep him fresh for the postseason. So I am concerned about the situation here, and because Quick just didn't perform at a high level last year after that renaissance season of 2 years ago. So that's going to be something to watch here for the New York Rangers, and what they can get, how much quality they can get from the backup spot with Jonathan Quick. As far as the other additions, I like a lot of them in that they're buy low, low risk, potentially high reward type of deals, like a Nick Bonino, like an Eric Gustafson. Riley Nash is a player I've always had, respect for, depth forward, plays both ends of the ice, physical component. He'll be in a battle to make a bottom six forward role in training camp with the Rangers. And and even with the massive, decline as he's gotten older in his offensive game, we've seen it. We saw it obviously with Blake Wheeler in the last few years with the Winnipeg Jets, but you are still buying low, buying cheap, not paying a lot for a guy that was a captain, guy that's going to bring some leadership qualities to the room, veteran presence. Yeah, not the offensive player he was, a few years ago. That's really, really gone downhill in a hurry for Blake Wheeler. But there are things that he can bring to this Rangers team that I think can make him a solid fit. And the thing that makes it a solid fit is they didn't have to pay, through the nose to have a guy like Blake Wheeler here, nor should they, but they got him cheap. I don't mind the addition. And if anything, Blake Wheeler, you know what, knowing that it didn't work out in Winnipeg, a change of scenery for him, which I think with everything that was going around the Jets for the last couple of years, it actually might be not only the Rangers buying low on him, but maybe Blake buying low on himself, because it wouldn't shock me if he gets comfortable here, a fresh start, a change of scenery, which is, I think, something he needed the way things went the last couple of years in Winnipeg. Wouldn't surprise me to see the Rangers get bigger bang for their buck, believe it or not, from Blake Wheeler's addition.
Yeah, for sure. He just wanted to get out of there. Obviously, losing the captaincy and everything that went on there, and he said he wanted to go to the East, and this is just a complete fresh start. And sometimes we see it in the NHL a lot. Players go and have a fresh start and completely turn things around. So it'll be good for him to come over here to the Rangers. And I completely agree with Jonathan Quick. If something happens to Shesterkin, it'll be Jonathan Quick and Louis Domingue as the Rangers' two goaltenders. And I know all the Rangers fans are really hoping that it's not Quick and Domingue that is in net for the Rangers going forward. To the next segment here, upcoming free agents. Not a huge list overall when you look at it for the Rangers. Of course, Blake Wheeler is on that 1-year deal. Nick Bonino, Tyler Pitlick. I think all three of those guys, it depends how they fit in the team, how the team does, and how cheap kind of deals they want next year. I think the Rangers could move on, and I think, or the Rangers could re-sign those three guys. The picture below, Capo Caco, an RFA, but I think the most important guy on this list for the Rangers to re-sign is Capo Caco. Braden Schneider as well for the defenseman. He's also an RFA, but I think he's very important for the Rangers to sign. Ryan Lindgren as well, same thing, RFA. So really, the Rangers, the most important guys for the Rangers to re-sign are RFAs. If they move on from all the UFAs, it's not overly going to hurt them. There'll be other guys on the market that can easily replace what these guys are bringing. I think maybe not easily, but there's lots of guys to help replace the guys that are UFAs on this list. It's the three RFAs I think that are the most important for the Rangers to focus on. Ian, do you agree with me? Upcoming free agents, what do you think the Rangers should be focusing on after this season?
Yeah, in terms of long-term, Kakko, no question. I mean, Bonino's a veteran, Wheeler's a veteran. Those are kind of like trial runs that they're going through with those two guys. Kakko, and look, Kakko, how much are they going to be looking to tie him up long-term, even as a restricted free agent after this season? I think is dependent on, can he really have this breakthrough offensive season that we're waiting on from Kakko, which, again, Rangers fans have been waiting on for quite some time. I mean, last year was better, 18 goals, 22 assists, 40 points, but still, I mean, they definitely expect, I think, a little bit more than that from Kaapo Kakko, given the first round draft status he entered the league with. So it's a big year for him, but obviously if he has a good year, then there's more incentive probably to get him re-signed long-term. And yes, Braden Schneider clearly on the blue line of those four UFA/RFA candidates. Braden Schneider does symbolize a large chunk of their future on the blue line. He's still very young. I saw significant growth in his game last year for the Rangers. Very confident in his own end. Can throw his weight around when needed. Just didn't make too many mistakes in terms of caught out of position, turnovers with the puck. That's what you want to see out of a young blue liner, and I saw a lot of that from Schneider last year. There's actually one point where I thought he was one of their better defensemen during the course of the season last year. So, yeah, Schneider definitely priority one on the blue line. Quick, on the other hand, we'll see if he can have that season he had 2 years ago, which was really good, not the season he had last year, which wasn't so good. But again, even if Quick probably surpasses expectations, you're really going to be looking to sign him after this year, another year older? Probably not. So it's really Schneider and Kakko, as you said.
Yeah, for sure. Some teams have more complicated off seasons, and some teams, like the Rangers, it's pretty easy to tell what they have to do. Looking at possible lineup here, of course, as we say every show, this is according to projections. Things can definitely change, and they will change. But this is the projected lineup for the Rangers, and they're breaking up Lafreniere, Hedel, and Kakko in the projections here. That was a great line for the Rangers. Putting Kakko here on the top line with Kreider and Zibanejad, Panarin, Trocheck, and Wheeler on the second line. That's a very good top six. Rangers have a great top six. That third line, Lafreniere, Hedel, and we'll see how Vesey does if he plays with them. But that's a young third line that has potential as well. Physical fourth line there with veteran Bonino centering it, which is always good. Defensemen, Lindgren and Fox, Miller, Trouba, Gustafsson, Schneider. Pretty good D pairs, in my opinion. Maybe not top of the league, but definitely not bottom of the league either. They have depth there as well. And then goaltenders, we've kind of been through it. Shesterkin, Quick, and Domingue. Really, of course, Shesterkin, the only one of those three that you can rely on night after night. So, of course, the Rangers will want to keep him healthy. And overall, this we'll obviously get to it in the next segment, but looks like a playoff team to me. Just might not be quite at the level of the New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes, but we'll have to see there. Ian, what do you think overall about this possible lineup for the Rangers?
Yeah, until proven otherwise, based on what I saw in last year's playoffs, where guess what, New Jersey and Carolina, those other two teams in this division, both got further in the postseason than the New York Rangers did. Until proven otherwise, this is a team that, to me, is starting the year power ratings wise below the Devils and below the Hurricanes. Even though this is a Rangers team I've liked the last couple of years, up front, there is definitely, when you look at the up front group, Trocheck, Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin, you're more often than not going to be able to rely on them. But they're really going to need Kakko and Lafreniere to get their head out of their ass and really start to produce at a level that is a requisite with where they were drafted. Yeah, and they just have not come close to that level. Maybe they won't come close to that level, but this is the year it's got to happen. Okay, you can't anymore say, well, we haven't been given the line mates and the opportunity. Can't say that. Can't say, oh, it's been a coaching issue, because now you got another new head coach in here, and Peter Laviolette, that's going to try to get things going in terms of offense. And he had a great quote in the media day for the Rangers this week saying, I want a team that's not only skilled but hardworking, and we have to have both of this team. And I find the work, especially from those two guys, Kakko and Lafreniere, doesn't match their skill sometimes. And that is what's going to have to change here under Peter Laviolette. If those two guys can get you 25, 30 goals at least this year, then the Rangers are right there in that conversation with New Jersey, with Carolina, with some of the other teams in the East. If that doesn't happen, they're a notch below those teams. Simple as that. That's how important I think it is this year that Kakko and Lafreniere really get going and start to discover some of that untapped potential that a lot of people had for them based on where they were drafted. So It's really important. Hedel has been, oftentimes one of the better forwards on this Rangers team, especially at playoff time. And he's certainly going to be a big component to this team. He did suffer an injury playing at the World Hockey Championship last spring. It looks like he's going to be fine, though, and be ready to go for the start of the regular season. And then you look at the rest of the lineup. Their depth forward group's not bad, actually. Barclay Goodrow's a good bottom six forward. Bonino can slide in nicely in that role. I don't know if Jimmy Vesey is the type of guy that's like a great bottom six forward. He's more of a skill. And again, you talk about work ethic and work habits and away from the puck. I don't think Vesey is great away from the puck. So I'm wondering if a bottom six role fits that guy. But he's going to have to, on this team, he's got to be a bottom six forward because there's just, there's better forward options in the top six. So he's either got to make it work or they're going to probably maybe trade him even at the trade deadline. We'll see what happens, though, with VC. On the blue line, Lindgren, Fox, Keandre Miller, Jacob Trouba. I like that first four quite a bit. And actually, Schneider, I think, is really going to start to move up. I know a lot of sites have him as a third pair. There were a lot of times he played better than a third pair defenseman last year. So I could see him moving up eventually to at least the second pair on the back end for the New York Rangers. And then in net, I said, obviously Igor Shesterkin, we still think of him as one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. Last year, he had a couple bobbles and wobbles after, a terrific year 2 years ago, but he'll be fine. And every goalie's going to go through a little slump here and there, but he's still an elite goaltender in this league. The question is, Jonathan Quick, can he stabilize the backup position and give this team 20-25 starts and at least go 500 in those starts? Because he certainly questioned that when you look at Jonathan Quick's performance last year. And look, if Quick really doesn't play well, and you see it on the screen here, Louis Domingue is an option. It's a guy that has been around the block. He's been with multiple organizations. He started regular season games. Hell, he started playoff games. Remember Pittsburgh a couple years ago with the famous post-game interview in the series against these Rangers from Louis Domingue. So he's capable, and he might push Jonathan Quick for some opportunities if Quick stumbles.
Yeah, for sure. And looking at Shesterkin, he really bounced back in the playoffs. You can't blame him
No,
for the playoff loss. He had a
that's right.
1.96 goals against average and a 931 save percentage. So he was fantastic. You can't blame him for that playoff loss. Looking at the final segment here, which is future bets for the Rangers, starting with their point total, which is 103.5. They had 107 last year, 110 the year before. So bookmakers are thinking maybe they continue to take a step back here because they had 110, 21, 22, 107 last year. So maybe they go below 103. I'm not sure with this. It's just the Rangers are in a really tough division, but I could see them finishing above or below that point total. So the point total is just not going to be a play for me. I feel there's too much variance with that. Make the playoffs minus 600. Obviously, I'm not touching that. I think they make the playoffs, so I'm not taking no. President's Trophy, win division, win conference, win Stanley Cup. I'm not on any of those. This Rangers team is difficult because of the division they play in, and because I have them behind the other two teams, at least at this moment. So no real future bets there for me. Kreider goals 35.5. He had 36 last year, so bookmakers are pricing it based on last year's goal total. I will definitely be on Kreider anytime goal during the season, but I'm not sure I'm going to take the that total there over 35.5. Adam Fox points. He had, let's see here. What? Oh, there he is. 72 points in 82 games last year. So his point total at 71.5. Again, I'm not sure I want to go there with Adam Fox, though I do want to bring it up. At the beginning of the season, Adam Fox assist props will be better priced. And then as the season goes on, they'll end up being not priced as well. So you want to take a look at Adam Fox assist props early on and power play point props, but no futures bet for me. And then with Igor Shesterkin, 34.5 wins is his total here. He had 37 last year. And honestly, with the way with the other two goalies that are on this roster, I can see Igor having to play probably more than the Rangers would like. At least the same 58 as last year, potentially over 60. So Shesterkin wins. I would go with over 34.5. Again, I'm not making an official play just because the Rangers are in a tough division. And I could see um, maybe them not getting as many wins as last year. So Shesterkin to win the Vezina plus 700. If he plays like he did in the playoffs last year, then that's a great bet. You want to jump on that. Um, Not an official play for me. And then who will have more points, Rangers or Boston? I do like the Rangers to minus 125 to have more points than the Boston Bruins. Um, that's the one bet I do like on the screen. I like the Rangers more than Boston, but if the Bruins showed us anything last year, it's maybe don't quite count them out. So we'll have to see what happens there. Ian, future bets for the Rangers? Anything on this screen or any future bets for the Rangers catching your eye?
I don't think they're nearly as good to start this season, and we saw signs of that last year. Obviously, I do think they're in the rears at least right now of New Jersey and Carolina. That being said, I'd be leery about betting the point total under. Peter Laviolette's got this wicked track record of a great first season wherever he goes. It's really remarkable. Even going back to his very first head coaching job in the NHL with the New York Islanders way back in 2001, 2002. And remember how badly that organization was screwed up when he took the Islanders over. They had done a terrible job GM-wise. It was just an awful. Milbury was brutal. They made so many bad trades, bad signings, horrible contracts. Yashin, I mean, it goes on down the list, all the shit, and they were a bad hockey team. Laviolette has to come in there in a tough spot, and in that very first season, 96 points, second in the Atlantic Division, and they get to the playoffs. And that was a team that was miserable before he took over. So year one with the Islanders, immediate improvement for the Islanders with Laviolette. Then he goes to Carolina. He took over late in the season in 03-04, and they were really bad. So throw that out. The first full season he was in Carolina, post-lockout, that, of course, we know what happened. They won the Stanley Cup against the Edmonton Oilers. Terrific there. Philadelphia, first year there, 2009, 2010. Very first year coaching the Flyers. Go all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, losing to the Chicago Blackhawks. First year, again, success for Laviolette. First year in Nashville. Second in the Central, 2014, 2015, when he went to Music City. They lost in the first round of Chicago, but still, very good regular season, 104 points there with Nashville. Washington Capitals, 2020, 2021. Now, remember, he took over Washington. That was that COVID season. So not as many games, only 56, but 36, 15, and 5. Second in the East, lost in the first round to Boston. But again, he goes to a team, and in that very first season, some coaches, it takes them a while to turn the team around or get them to improve. Laviolette, pretty much his track record everywhere. Islanders, Carolina, Nashville, Philadelphia, Washington. First year, there's immediate improvement, and they have a good season. So for that reason, I'd be pumping the brakes, because my first thought was under, but I see Laviolette's track record in year one. I want nothing to do with the under now. Don't know if I'm going to get there with the over either, but I lean now more toward the over because of the Laviolette first-year track record taking over a team. I don't really like them, many of the futures. Division, maybe if I see something really strong out of them early on, maybe I'll change my tune, but I don't see them winning the division this year over a New Jersey or a Carolina here in this Metro division. The conference and the Stanley Cup, that's a bet that I'd be more keen to make than the division. Because to me, it's one of those deals where maybe they're just a mundane regular season team, and then Laviolette maybe works some playoff magic, and we have seen him do that. This is a Stanley Cup champion coach. This is a guy that's taken two different franchises to the Stanley Cup final, even though they didn't win, Philadelphia and Nashville. So we know what he's capable of in the spring, in the postseason. So if I were to bet any futures with the Rangers, it'd be more the conference and the Stanley Cup. I prefer the value there. I prefer the price there. And I just get that sense this could be a team that treads water, is good enough in the regular season, and then they find their footing and really, really become scary, dangerous maybe come playoff time. And obviously Shesterkin is a goaltender that can win games and even win series when he is on top of his game for you. None of the player props really stand out for the goals and points and the wins there. Shesterkin to win the Vezina probably is the best choice, though, if I had to choose. Plus 700 for a goaltender that's fully capable of being one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. And the Vezina sometimes goes to a goaltender that has the biggest, his great season has the biggest impact and is the biggest reason why that team has a great season. So that's all the more reason why he can be live at plus 700, to win the Vezina Trophy. And then I'm staying out of that who will have more points. I am not doing a thing with Boston Bruins futures this year after one of the all-time whiffs I'll ever have was saying Boston would fall off last year, and they went on to have this historic regular season. So I ain't on or against Boston coming into this season. I'm taking a wait-and-see approach with them, pretty much the same with the Rangers. So no interest really in that, who's going to have more points between them. But to me, out of these futures bets, lean over the point total because of the Laviolette strong first-year track record taking over a new team. Lean to the conference and Stanley Cup prices over the division price. And the Vezina for Shesterkin at plus 700.
Awesome. While you were talking, you kind of talked me onto. No, I'm not going to pull the trigger on it, but something I'm definitely looking at now is Peter Laviolette to win the Jack Adams, which is plus
Absolutely.
1800.
Yep. I can
Now,
see it.
if you're right and he doesn't have the best regular season team, then that may not be the best play. But if he comes in here and he turns this team into the division winner, maybe they win the conference, have a really good season, you could see him having some value at plus 1800. So that's something that's on my radar now, thanks to you, Ian.
Yep. No
That
argument.
could
I
be a
think
good
it's
bet
I
as
think it's
well.
worth a couple bucks at least. Anyway, that Jack Adams award, just because again, he's had good regular season. Like you can't the second in the Atlantic with the Islanders, first in the Southeast with Carolina, third. Now the Philly season was weird. They were only third in the Atlantic Division that season, and then they got on a roll in the playoffs, and got to the Stanley Cup final against Chicago. That could happen here, and again, regular season performance impacts the Jack Adams award win the trophy
Yeah.
and all those awards based on regular seasons. So, but still, most of these regular seasons, there was a significant improvement for when Peter Laviolette took over in the first year one, with him as the head coach compared to the previous season, which still to me makes that Jack Adams award consideration for Peter Laviolette worth at least a small shot.
And he's taking over a pretty good team, a pretty good lineup as well. But that is the New York Rangers season preview show. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Make sure to give Ian a follow, Applebano on Twitter. The link is in the description below as well. And we will see you again for other NHL season preview shows. Thanks for watching. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching this NHL season preview show. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons as we continue on breaking down all 32 NHL teams, which will lead to the regular season when the Getting Wild with Terry and Friends NHL betting show will return. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Of course, make sure to follow everyone in the description below that was on today's show to show them some support. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you on the next show.